I just started going to NAB. This is my second year, and I always wanted to see recaps of the equipment that people were inspired by. We're gonna be looking at cameras, lighting, accessories, cases, gear that you don't need, gear that you do need. We're gonna see what the industry has to offer. 2026 NAB, let's go in. You don't go to NAB because you're looking to buy something new. You're going to see what is changing in the industry. And when I am ready to make a purchase, I already know what I want. So anytime I need something, I've been looking at it for the last 6 months because it's much better to look at equipment when you don't need it versus when you do need it. All right. Here are my notes. I took pamphlets at almost every place that I could. So after going to the Sony booth, the FX2 is not nearly as bad as I thought it was. Seeing it online and seeing photos of it, I quickly dismissed it. But as soon as I walked up to it, and I'm like, actually this form factor is not really bad. And I see why they made it. And sometimes it makes me realize that when you're online, you quickly can be misled on what makes a product good or not. Here's a tip for everybody. If you're ever looking to purchase any gear, always do it near NAB. Everybody has hardcore sales, 20, 30, 40% off. And you can go to their website and get the same deals. You don't even have to come to NAB. One of the things I noticed while going to the Sony booth is there's not much for me to look at. The Burano, the Venice, the FX6, there's no reason for them to jump out and start to make new cameras because honestly, we're already buying the cameras that they have. So from their standpoint, they're just gonna keep what they have going and let other people catch up to them. But I will tell you, folks are starting to catch up a little bit. Let me show you. They're a brand that I've been interested in for a very long time. And they've introduced this new Vista camera, which again, is an FX3 inspiration. FX3 has easily inspired a lot of people to make smaller cameras that are super high quality. And so I like that Kinfinity is introducing a new camera. We don't have a lot of information about it. It feels good in many areas. Some areas definitely need some help product development wise. Some of the doors are a little flimsy, but that's expected with something that is just coming out. I would consider trying out some of their cameras, but the main thing is nobody knows about it. So I can't have a producer. I can't say, hey, you wanted the FX3, I'm gonna bring the Kinfinity Vista. That's the only problem that I have with those type of cameras. You know, that's the thing with products. You can see something online and you can think I would never buy that or I do wanna buy that. And then when you see it in person, your whole thought process change. So that's why it's important to get the physical product in your hand to see how it works, to see how it feels, because you might be surprised. Industry-wise, we're seeing more of a push towards smaller, higher quality cameras that can do just as good of a job as the big boys, but in a smaller form factor, because everybody's not putting it on the shoulder, everybody doesn't have a big tripod. Some people are running and gunning, and in places where you need to be nimble. The GFX Eterna 55, I think, is high on my list. Now, I'm not in the market for a new camera, but I'm always in the market for a new camera, if you know what I mean. The ability to film with that, the Premista lenses, medium format for film, documentaries. So that's high on the list. Look at this. You may not be able to see the quality based off of my camera shooting the screen, but oh my, sign me up. Fujifilm, I ain't gonna lie, I'm definitely gonna try out their Eterna 55. That, not full frame, but large format sensor is something that I'm very interested in. Get a different look and feel, something I haven't done before. I think they did a good job with that. They just need to get it out in the wild so more people can use it and start requesting it. I can see a whole doc being filmed on that thing. It's just a little bit bigger than the FX6, so I think it could be a great option. Here's the thing you need to keep in mind when it comes to testing out cameras and lenses at NAB. Most of the booths are engineered to make everything look fantastic, as they should, to no surprise. But like Blackmagic in particular, and even Sony, they have these sets that they build, and these sets are just perfectly lit. Keep that in mind when you're looking at anything at NAB that has an image attached to it, a lens, a camera body, whatever, because look at the situation that they're having you point the camera in, and maybe consider pointing the camera the other way, or, you know, pointing at something that's not on their perfectly lit set, because that's gonna make everything look like I have to buy this now. Here's something that surprised me. That thing, the C400, looks like a beast. I feel like it's underpriced, and I think they did that on purpose because they know they're trying to get people back into their ecosystem. They're trying to pull the FX6 people, the FX3 people away from Sony so that they can dominate again as one of the leading in content creation and documentary filmmaking. And with the C400 and the C80, I think they did it. The camera that I'm most intrigued to try is the GoPro cameras. Skeptical about them, but I'm also interested in them. I like GoPro. As a company, I think what they put out has been kind of weird over the years, but also they serve a purpose, these action cameras. As a documentary filmmaker, I'm not using action cameras on a regular basis, and I think that's where GoPro has missed their mission. And so the main question that I'm asking myself is, when would I use this? So this is what I think they need to do. They need to introduce to their audience how to use these cameras. We're all very familiar with mounting a GoPro camera in many different ways, but they need to get like 20 creators who are thinking way outside of the box on how you can use this camera in a way that nobody thought about. See, the issue with the detachable one in particular, the Micro Four Thirds, that's inching closer to what a mirrorless camera can do. You don't want a camera where people don't know when to use it. And I think that's my issue with some of the new cameras that GoPro came out with. The display had a big zoom lens on it, and I'm like, at that point, I'm gonna put it on the FX3 or something like that. I want it on a full body or a C80 or a C50. For one of my events, I had to go to the other convention hall, and they're like, you gotta take the tunnel. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? They're like, you gotta take the underground tunnel. I'm like, the what? Oh my gosh. So there's a few things that I noticed this year that I wasn't expecting. My mindset shifted on the different camera options that are out there. I'm missing out on many opportunities because I'm not exploring other options out there. These different camera manufacturers are doing some great things with cameras, but I've gotten not lazy, but just comfortable with what Sony has provided me over the many years that I've been using it. The problem with that is when the manufacturer, like Sony, knows that people are getting comfortable. They don't have to put out a whole bunch of new features and options and functionality because everybody's pretty comfortable with what they have. And that's what NAB allowed me to do this year. It allowed me to see that there are many other things that I should be looking for when I'm looking at my camera. There's a lot of lighting companies, and it's gotten to the point where the difference between them is minimal or not at all. But then I asked myself, as I was talking to someone on the floor, Godox and GVM and Nanlite, and I'm mostly using aperture, why would I switch over? But then I would say the same thing to the person who has the Godox light. Why would you switch over to aperture? Because unlike cameras, yes, you want to be in the same ecosystem, but for lighting, they use the same apps, and it makes it a lot easier to use them together. And so if someone started with Nanlite or Godox, they should stay there because it's gonna make it easier for them to purchase more lights and for that to fit into the app and the ecosystem. Then on the other side, the thing I am excited about is they're starting to make powerful lights that are portable. So one of the issues that I have with a lot of lighting systems is I can't take them on road trips or flights with me, but now they're getting really small and still staying very powerful. The next thing that I'm gonna work on is a travel light system where I can get it in a bag and I can travel with it and still do a lot of the things that I do if I was at home. And this is when I can't hire a gaffer or grip when I'm going, or it's just a small operation. So I think that's the next thing I'm gonna work on, and there's some really cool options out there that will allow that to happen. I'm definitely gonna be looking at the DZO RL's zoom that just came out. I think the thing that I like about that is they have a set of primes that that are very familiar, but now they have matched it with a zoom lens, which is beautiful for someone like me, because from the documentary standpoint, I want my zoom and my primes to match as close as possible and have the same character. And so for them to be releasing a zoom version of that, something I'm definitely interested in. These Nisi lenses, the Eterna Rewind, not gonna lie, they're gonna get me to try these out. The other zoom lens that I'm super interested in, which I've never held in real life, is the Laowa 28-75. I got to hold it for the first time and it feels amazing. It's super light, and even the heavier one that's made out of carbon, magnesium, alloy, peanut butter, something like that. Bro, that thing is light too. I'm not mad at it. So I could see this going on my rig as my everyday lens. This is a very nice system, and I would get the whole kit. I went to Hollyland and they have a new wireless system that I'm excited to try out that has an infinite amount of monitors that can be attached to the wireless. And it's backwards compatible with the ones I already own. I'm interested to see what the latency looks like. I'm interested to see what the connectivity looks like, but that's a nice feature to be able to do an infinite amount of phones and monitors. I didn't think I was gonna stop over at Nomatic. I ain't gonna lie, if anybody gets my money at NAB, it's probably gonna be them. Their everyday bag, their weekender bag, their suitcase. It's one of those things, again, once you see it in person, it feels completely different, but they did a good job on that. Anything to make my life easier and anything to make my quality higher, that's what I'm looking for. Here's what I really love about going to this conference this year, is there's a lot of tools that are made for the everyday filmmaker. Yes, there's really expensive stuff that I'm never gonna be able to afford, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of tools that I could use to make my clients happier, to make my creative better, and most importantly, to make my stories better. Until next time, I'm Eric D. Seals. Keep telling stories that matter.